All right, hey Vikings fans, welcome in to another episode of the Skol Hop. I'm Evan.
I'm Austin.
We're just a couple of dudes from Iowa who like drinking beer, talking about the Vikings.
Yeah, we do. And you may notice we've got friend of the show, Forrest, on the show again.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. We're going to actually finally be able to taste our beer that we put our hearts, not sweat, but our labor into. So,
yeah, and I think we were all pretty impressed with our beer, the Born Ready Nut Brown Ale that we decided to name it. But we were also, I think we're all pretty impressed with free agency so far for the Bears and for the Vikings, which is exciting. Good place to be.
And we also spent some time, it's March, basketball's going on, so we spent some time sharing our favorite March Madness memories over the years.
Absolutely. So grab your favorite beverage and let's listen.
Skol.
I want to give a shout out to show sponsor Big Top Ventures for sponsoring today's episode. If you are looking to take a trip to an all-inclusive resort in Mexico or Jamaica, go ahead and send an email to our friends at Big Top at bigtopventuresllc@gmail.com. That'll be up on the screen here if you're watching. Go ahead and send them an email. Say you're interested in going to Mexico or Jamaica, and they will get you hooked up with the best prices possible. I will be going to Jamaica here within a couple of months, and then Mexico a couple months after that. I'm super excited. Big Top is amazing to work with. Evan, you need to book a trip. I'm going to say it until you do it. I've been saying it the whole time, and you haven't done it yet.
I told you. I said by this time in 2026.
Yeah, but the last time you said it was like a month ago. So time's running out there.
One of our other friends just booked a trip for next month.
Oh, yeah, that is true.
So talk about like just pulling the trigger.
The pressure's on, man.
So you can book and go on a trip within a month? Is that what you're saying?
I mean, you could book and go on a trip tomorrow. It would be tough, but you could do it.
Well, I just got back from a trip, so I'm not ready for another trip. I got some laundry to do and some sleep to catch up on.
We'll give you a week, and then you have to email bigtopventuresllc@gmail.com and book your trip, and you can have a bunch of fun in Mexico or Jamaica.
Yeah. Well, like I said, within a year, I will get a trip.
You have less than a year
but every
now.
time you say that, you reset the clock.
Within a year.
All right.
Within a year. Something we don't have to wait for now is this beer.
We've done our waiting.
Yes.
And
the waiting is over, and we are now trying the Nut Brown Ale that we got to brew with Forrest over here. About, a month and a half ago?
Mid-February.
Yeah, so I'd say,
just about a month ago.
Just about a month ago. We came up with a name. Can I share the name?
Please do.
Is that okay?
Go for it.
We're going to name this Born Ready Nut Brown Ale in homage to Randy Moss, who he doesn't stretch on game day. He was just born ready. And I felt like from the moment we started this process, even from the time we had Forrest on pre-brew, and we were going over all the ingredients and we tried some of the grain, I was excited. It felt like this beer was born ready. So if you don't know that reference, we'll include a link to Randy Moss claiming that he was born ready. But we need to have an official sip on camera here. We kind of pre-tried it, but official sip on the pod.
All right.
Here we go.
Skol.
Skol. Yes.
Yeah.
This is a really good beer.
It's
solid.
And maybe I'm crazy, but I feel like when you first take the sip of it and it's in your mouth, it's got that, is it the nuttiness? Is it the like earthy tones? And then once you swallow it, that like aftertaste is kind of a lighter flavor than it is. I don't know. It's refreshing to me. It's nice. It is out of the keg, but you did have to put it in a growler to bring it over here. So it's a little bit different than it will be straight out of the keg. But
right. It's carbonated. You just don't have that head retention right away.
Yeah.
But
I feel like it's got a full flavor. It's super dark, like super dark.
Yeah,
there is
it is
no
brown.
light coming through that at all. This beer was born ready, and I'm super excited to be drinking this.
Yeah, it turned out really well. I'm pumped that, you always get nervous when you have other people try it. I tried it yesterday just to make sure. I don't want to give others, a bad beer, but I was super excited. First taste was kind of a mixed reaction for me, and then as it mellowed out, like you said, I think that I get more of that nuttiness. I think that's actually what kind of mellows it out on the back end than just straightforward malt.
Yeah, for
flavor.
sure. And when we kegged it, we kind of took a little bit of the little taste when we put it in the keg.
Absolutely.
So it wasn't carbonated, it wasn't cold, it wasn't really finished. It was beer, it was alcoholic, but it wasn't quite done. And I remember you saying, like, you're not getting that nutty flavor with that little taste that we had when we first put it in the keg.
Correct.
I feel like it's even since then, it's different. It's
I
nice.
I think just having it carbonated and then chilling it down, maybe that brought out that flavor that I was looking for. I'm really excited about this. It's definitely a beer I'm gonna drink a lot of until it runs out, obviously. So with you guys, of course.
Yeah, and we'll have our nice little tapping event, and friends and family will be over too. So
Absolutely.
we'll share it with some loved ones here. But it's really good beer. I love the Randy Moss of it all. The Born Ready. It's episode 84 of the Skol Hop right now, which is pretty cool.
Also on purpose.
Well, but the thing is, like, it wasn't on purpose when we started brewing it, but as things started coming together, it's like, oh yeah, I think you even mentioned it last episode or episode before, like, yeah, this would perfectly come together and round up. So I think this beer is absolutely a success. I really enjoy it. I would buy this. It's delicious.
I appreciate that. I can't say much more about it. You took the words right out of my mouth.
To your own horn, therefore.
No, it's a solid beer. I'm glad it turned out well. Give your guys self credit. I mean, it was a team effort. So yeah.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think you told us that this was the first nut brown ale you've ever brewed.
Yeah, I've done other brown ales before, but this is the first nut brown ale. So super psyched about how it turned out. 5.8%, I think, is measured in that. So
solid.
Not too heavy, but you can definitely have several and get a good nice feeling inside you. So
yeah.
I also think something unique about this beer, speaking about the process of how we made it, was chilled in Iowa snow.
That is true.
I think we talked about that.
That was part laziness on our part.
A few weeks ago, but instead of using the chiller element that goes inside the tank, we just put it out in the snow for a while.
I don't know if we'll ever have another opportunity to make a beer and chill it with the Iowa snow, and probably shouldn't anymore. But it did not impact the overall beer. I was very mindful of making sure it wasn't on the elements too long. Yeah. So,
but yeah, another Iowa brewed beer, Iowa fermented beer. The only thing is we had to use your keg, so the last 2 weeks of its life, after it was already beer, it has spent some time across the river in Illinois. But I think that's fine. That's how the last beer we did last year went. But yeah, this is a good Iowa brewed beer.
Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to the actual keg tapping, having other people try it. I think we have about 4 gallons of it. So
only,
yeah, only. Maybe we can have both beers. We'll rebrew this one. We'll rebrew the Skol Hot beer. Maybe that's something we should aim for sometime. Have a double beer tapping.
I think that'd be flying too close to the sun.
Do you think
there.
so?
No, I'm all ready to try it. But other than the snow chilled process, which we agree wasn't terrible, but probably we could have gone about it differently. Is there anything from the brewing process that you would change, whether it's ingredients or the actual process, anything you'd switch up if we brewed this one another time?
Yeah, I would say for me, I would probably use a little more grain profile just to get a little more sweetness out of that brown maltiness. I mean, it's there, but with a brown ale, you definitely want to hit it in your face right away. I would say so. It's definitely malty, but yeah, just maybe a little more sweetness to it. So
Yeah. Okay.
if I'm like original reactions to it, so
Yeah. Yeah, I really like it a lot. I feel like if we keep saying how much we like it, it'll sound disingenuous at this point. But
and your fan base is probably like, well, keep talking about this beer, and I will never get to try it.
yeah, that's
so.
the thing. Like nobody
like the other beers we try, they might have a shot at purchasing, at a liquor department or whatever. They will not have this. So
yeah, because we haven't even put out the recipe or anything like that. I'm not saying we should, but yeah, this is literally a Skol hop exclusive. So
yeah, I say we're 2 for 2. I mean
100%.
on the Skol hop sponsored beers.
Oh yeah, we've not missed when you've helped us brew a beer. So
and we've never brewed a beer without you. So
Next year you're on your own.
oh no, that'll be our first miss.
It'll probably be the best beer ever, and be like, who needs Forrest?
No, what it looks like if Evan and I brew a beer together is us sitting in one of our garages, opening a bunch of cans of already brewed great Iowa brewed beer and pouring it into a keg somewhere. That's probably the best we could do. So.
I just had a picture of that meme that's been going around of the "Hold Me Now, I'm 6 feet." Have you heard that one?
I mean, I've heard the song. I don't know where you're
the
going.
Meme though, where it's like the garage doors closed and it's like it's just us in the garage, but it's like as if you were outside of the garage listening to what's happening inside the garage. It's like all muffled. No one knows what I'm talking about.
I don't know if I'd have to.
Somebody is probably laughing along with you.
Yeah.
Somebody knows. I'll find one.
Is it one of your favorite gifts or?
GIF, yeah. It's not even a GIF because it has sound.
That's true.
GIF. Oh,
well,
man.
there's no such thing as a GIF unless you're talking about peanut butter. But GIFs don't have sound typically. So.
Peanut butter. This would go good with some peanut butter.
I mean, you could definitely add the peanut butter to it and modify it
like a peanut butter s'mores around a campfire. This would go really well with that.
Yeah. Have we had a peanut? I feel like we've had a peanut butter. Was it like a back pocket peanut butter?
You have had a peanut butter flavored beer.
I'd have to go back and consult the list. I don't know that. I can't think of off the top of my head if we've had peanut butter.
I think there was some kind of chocolate peanut butter or something that we had.
Okay, now
not terribly long ago.
We're just gonna go off on this quick. I think you might be right now that I think about it.
it was back pocket, but I might be wrong on that.
I was thinking
a list.
No Coast.
Maybe it was No Coast. Both great breweries. Neither sponsors yet.
We had No Coast cookies and cream.
Yeah, so we had all of the No Coast nitro
stouts,
beers, but
coffee,
I don't think
nitro, and s'mores.
what I'm thinking of wasn't a nitro, and it wasn't terribly long ago.
What did you think it was?
It was like a peanut butter.
What brewery?
Oh, I thought it was Back Pocket.
Back Pocket.
But maybe not. Oh man, we're wasting a lot of time.
Chocolate
on this.
peanut butter pretzel stout.
Yes.
There you go.
Okay.
That was more recent too.
Yeah, that was pretty recent. Episode 74.
January 7th. Okay.
10 episodes ago, we had that.
Yeah. So
You're right. Good memory.
I'm really glad I was right. I'm usually not wrong about beer. Okay.
That's quite a list, by the way. That's.
I mean, 84 episodes in, and
no repeat.
I think we've had a couple repeats.
1 or 2 repeats, but really not too many.
That's pretty good.
We've tried to keep it pretty original and new. And
does this list have all of episode 50s individual? No, it just says too many to count.
Yeah. Oh yeah. We had a lot on episode 50. We hit up 11 different breweries in 2 days,
and multiple
on our beer
beers tour. Between both of us at each brewery.
And a few breweries we did flights.
Yeah.
So
there was, easily 30 different beers that we had on that trip, which.
Those are all.
I love those types of trips and vacations where you hit multiple breweries.
Those are all documented within the episode. We just don't have them listed. I think at the brewery we talked about every beer that we tried on camera. So,
so I know we need to talk about football on that, but you asked me the question if there was anything. I'd ask the same question for both of you. If there's anything you'd like to see or taste differently on this beer?
Go for it, Ev. We'll put you on the spot.
and I don't know, because I just don't know enough about brewing and adding or subtracting ingredients. To me, I think the maltiness could increase a little bit.
I would agree with that, like the sweetness a little bit.
And that's something that I gravitate towards in a beer like this.
Absolutely.
Is that malty flavor.
And that's what brown ales, red ales gravitate to, is a little more sweetness. So,
and it's not that it lacks that completely. I would just maybe, like, if it's at a 6 or a 7, I'd notch that up to an 8 or a 9.
Absolutely.
So
yeah, I'd agree. It could be just a tad sweeter, but I'm not blowing smoke. I have no reason to say.
No, I don't ask the question that you hate the beer. I'm asking what you'd like to see differently about, just like you pose it to me. And I think we're all in agreement that we'd like to see a little more malty, a little sweeter.
But like, as far as the process, I feel like everything about the brewing process went perfectly. I think it's hard to just get a decent / good beer at a pretty solid ABV that you would drink again, especially at home. And I would say that this absolutely hits all of those points. It's a homebrew, Iowa brewed, solid ABV, and it's a good beer.
That's I think you hit it home, at least for me, is I have to remind myself, I'm a home brewer. Yeah, I've done it a lot, but I'm working on, homebrew equipment. I don't have the most, technologically advanced, equipment to produce the best beer ever made. But this is definitely a solid beer that I would definitely make again. So.
And I'd put this up with the rest of your beers, which I've said on the show, I've said to you, I've never had a bad Forrest beer.
Yeah.
And this is right up there with
this is definitely one of my better ones, I'd say.
Absolutely. So. But yeah, I don't know what I would change. Again, like Evan, I don't know enough about the ingredients to be able to say, I'd add, this much more grain or whatever. I don't know enough about that.
Sure.
But I feel like everything went as well as humanly possible, and this is a really good product, so I'm really proud of it.
At the end of the day, I think we all agree, great beer. The process went well. Obviously, we had a lot of fun doing it, so that's key as well.
And we put down a few other beers, too.
We did.
So it definitely counts.
Yes, yes. So, but no, I appreciate the feedback. We'll just have to keep making beer. It seems like it's a winning combination here.
Yeah. And I think if we were to quit our day jobs and go into brewing, and
some of us may not have a choice here in the next couple of months.
I think
there's a chance.
we would brew an initial batch of something like this and be like, yeah, it's good, and then we could tweak things.
Absolutely.
We could take the recipe that you made and we can kind of fine tune the ingredients to get it to be where we want it to be. And not that this isn't what I want it to be. This is everything I expected and more.
All right,
but
Forrest, I have a proposition. Mm-hmm. For whatever reason, you keep shooting down my idea that you should open up a brewery called the Miller Brewing Company.
Yeah.
I don't get why I don't get why you keep shooting that name down. It doesn't make any sense. Your name is Miller.
I might as well just throw millions of dollars.
No, it's your name.
And burn it because it's a losing.
So if you are so dead set on not having your brewery be called the Miller Brewing Company for whatever reason, I think we can lend our name. It can be the Skol Hop Brewery or Skol Hop Brewing Company or whatever. Skol Hop. That's what I'm saying. So it
has a ring to it. I'm not denying that.
And as a Bears fan,
it's the
I don't know
Skol Hop beer brewed by a Chicago Bears fan. I just don't know how that works, but
we might be able to find a spot to put a C in. I'm just kidding. We can't put a C.
I was going to say you would never do that.
We'll have a Bears fan on the podcast. We won't put the Bears logo on ours. So
we should talk football though while
Absolutely.
we enjoy these beers.
Well, is there anything to talk about?
Yeah, we're in the thick of free agency. There's a lot to talk about. Where to start though is the question. Do we want to start with the Bears and then get to the Vikings, or
let's do it? Let's
start
warm
with the Bears?
Forrest up a little bit. Forrest is our resident beer brewer, but he's also a Bears fan. You're also much more of a Michigan Wolverines fan, which we say every time. But you're still a Bears fan.
So. I am a Bears fan. Yeah, I was talking to you before we started the podcast. It's kind of funny that, both teams, Vikings and Bears, they noticed that they needed to make some changes on the trenches. So I think the Bears have done a decent job with trying to get some of those people addressed, those positions addressed. So two that stand out to me early on, right at the beginning of free agency, was Joe Thuney from Kansas City, great player for several years, and then Jonah Jackson from the Rams. He's a little bit younger, obviously, but both those guys definitely were high free agent. Well, I shouldn't say free agents because we actually traded for them, but both sought after guys. Obviously, both teams were willing to listen to some trades. So I was really happy with the Bears. It seems like they're finally, after several years of just letting the line be the line, they're actually taking it seriously. So maybe it's the new Ben Johnson era. I'm holding up hope. Let's put it that way. So,
well, I'm definitely more afraid, as a Vikings fan, I'm more afraid of the Bears than the Lions at this point, just because of Ben Johnson. I think the Lions lost their heart and soul with losing their offensive and defensive coordinators. Maybe not their heart and soul, but their brains, because their heart and soul is Dan Campbell in Detroit, but their brains, the one that can actually back it up, that was their coordinators. They dipped for the Jets with Aaron Glenn and then Ben Johnson.
Yeah, it'll be really interesting to see all three teams, how they react, because obviously Campbell, I think he's a good coach, but obviously his coordinators were amazing the last few years in Detroit. Man, the Jets job, I'm glad he's getting his shot, but that's a tough place to take your first head coaching position. So,
that is, especially right now.
Yeah, I think although the Bears haven't been great, I think Ben Johnson's coming into a much better situation, just with the pieces around what's been built over the last year.
Yeah, and after watching Caleb Williams run for his ever-loving life last season, every second of every play, it makes sense that, like you said, they addressed the trenches and they got two pretty solid offensive linemen.
I didn't even mention, I think they signed Dalton as a center. So,
Drew Dahlman, I think, from from Atlanta.
Yep. So they definitely made a priority, but as we all know, it all just comes down to, can people stay healthy and do they all mesh together? So.
Yep. And of course, the Vikings made some moves on the offensive line. We kind of talked about it last week too, but
those are big moves, and I think we're going to see the Bears will likely improve offensively because Caleb Williams won't have to run for his life.
Yeah,
at least on paper, he's got some good guys up front that are going to protect him, and I think J.J. McCarthy's going to have similar protection, if not maybe the league's best offensive line.
On paper, it's hard to argue too much with.
It's looking really, really good with the additions of, I can't even remember their names, Will Fries and
Ryan Kelly.
Yeah.
I was going to say, Vikings, they're making some serious moves. I'd be excited if I was a Vikings fan. And to your point, I'm more nervous. I think the Vikings are going to be the team to beat this year, on paper at least. So
I think Vegas at this moment still has them to finish like last, which I
don't know how that's possible.
I think they're only looking at, you lost your starting quarterback, and that's about it. You didn't get technically worse anywhere else. You just didn't have a Pro Bowl quarterback.
Yeah, obviously, I think that's what they're probably computing into the fact that you have the team that has an unknown quarterback at this point. Not that Caleb Williams, he had 1 year, but we don't know technically how JJ is going to perform in the NFL. Yeah. We have all ideas, me being the Michigan fan, seeing how he did in college, but that's why. Yeah,
the last time we saw J.J. McCarthy play football was in a preseason game, and he looked pretty decent. Yeah. It's not like he was, the next coming of Peyton Manning, but he looked pretty good, had some flashy plays, and that's it. That's all we've seen. So it is kind of unknown. He's coming off an injury, but new look offensive line. Garrett Bradbury, undersized center, he got cut the last few days, and then the next day I think got signed to
With the Patriots.
Yeah. So, good luck to Drake May. Garrett Bradbury, I think, has played admirably. He's played okay given his size. He was more of
he's more brains over brawn kind of guy.
But you got to be some brawn as a center. Which Ryan Kelly, he is a massive, mean-looking man.
Yeah. Yes.
I'd be glad if I looked up and Ryan Kelly was blocking for me, because that dude is a monster. And Blake Brendel, he's not small either. Left guard, currently the current first string left guard. And then Will Fries, he got that 5-year, $80+ million contract in left guard or right guard. Yeah, this is a good spot for JJ McCarthy to take the snap and look up and see the
you have set him up for success. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
So
yeah, and I think both GMs too. I think Ryan Clark, Bears GM, Ryan Poles.
Yeah.
Sorry,
I think Clark was the last.
Ryan Clark is the ESPN guy. Sorry, got my last names mixed up. Ryan Poles and Kwesi Adofo-Mensah both mentioned in their press conferences after both teams ended their seasons that the trenches were going to be a priority. So they've followed through on that, and they've done some work for sure.
Like I said, I think we both, as our fans of our teams, were excited with what our teams did so far in the off season. Obviously, the draft is ahead of us, so
So the Vikings had a few more moves since our last episode. Cam Robinson, the left tackle that they traded for last season after Christian Darrisaw, he's gone. He signed, I think, like a 1-year, $12 million-ish deal with the Houston Texans. A lot of people are really interested in the Vikings comp pick formula for the last couple of seasons. They got a 3rd-round pick in this upcoming draft because Kirk Cousins left last year, and now they're looking to see Sam Darnold signed for a bunch of money, and Cam Robinson, he signed for some money, so the Vikings should be in line to get some comp picks. What do you think about that? It doesn't move the meter too much for me. They're going to plan for what they plan for, and comp picks are cool, but I feel like too much is being put on that.
It would be really nice if we got more of those comp picks this year, because we only have 4 picks total.
And that's
with the addition of that 3rd rounder, right? Wasn't it a 3rd rounder from the Kirk Cousins deal? So, it doesn't really matter a whole lot right now. And I don't know. I think Kwesi has proven that he is a wizard with free agency, and he may not be the best in the draft, but that may not matter a whole lot if he can build a Super Bowl roster mostly from free agency.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Which I think everyone would agree. The most consistently best way to build an NFL roster is through the draft. But like you said, Kwesi has proven he's not the best drafter. Maybe he's been getting better and better, but I don't really see that. So free agency has been knocking it out of the park.
Yeah.
So if we can even get one good run out of it.
I mean, you think about if you want to trade down and get some more picks.
Yep.
I mean,
that'd be good.
Yeah.
A couple other moves the Vikings have done. They signed Jeff Okudah, a cornerback. I think he played in Atlanta last year, but he was drafted by the Lions, I think pretty high, like 3rd overall, a handful of years ago. And then a guy that ended up visiting both the Vikings and the Bears, wide receiver Rondale Moore. He just signed with the Vikings yesterday, I believe.
I think so, yep.
Interesting, because he visited a few teams, and I saw on Twitter Skol who he's like an ankle doctor. He's a doctor, and once he saw that Rondale Moore was visiting multiple teams, he was guessing maybe he's not passing physicals. But then out of nowhere, he signs with the Vikings, and apparently he's healthy. So that's an interesting guy. I feel like he's underperformed most of his career.
I mean, it's been pretty short-lived so far. I mean,
3 or 4 years.
3 years, I think he's been in the league.
With the Cardinals, right?
Well, and then last season
with
Atlanta.
It was Atlanta. Okay.
But you had mentioned earlier about where did he go to school?
So he went to Purdue. He was a Boilermaker, and I think he was there 2-3 years, whatever the minimum is. I think. He was electric. in college. I mean, you check him out. Look at some of his highlights in college. You can tell why he was sought after by the Cardinals when they drafted him.
Yeah.
He can make things happen. He's very athletic. So if he can stay healthy, it's not a bad extra weapon to have on your team. Just another player to go to for JJ. So
yeah, I'm excited about it. I don't know. I'm not too excited because he hasn't proven to be really amazing, but I'm excited about the potential for that guy.
He has all the potential in the world if he can stay healthy. He's a playmaker.
Does he make the 53-man roster?
I think right now you pencil him in at wide receiver 3.
Yeah.
Before the draft, before training camp or anything.
Because you still have Naylor, right?
Jalen Naylor.
But you let go Powell.
Brandon Powell, he was a free agent, and
okay.
I think
so basically, he's
Powell
taking
is still available as a free agent.
Okay, so basically, he might be taking his spot.
Yeah,
in essence.
And Rondell Moore, I believe he's got some returning ability.
He does.
And that was Powell. Powell was the punt returner mostly.
Yeah. So maybe he's wide receiver 3, wide receiver 4, depending on what Naylor does. I'm kind of Jalen Naylor. He seems like he's got potential, but he's also dropped a lot of balls, and he's got a few of those plays where you get your hands on the top of your head like, what are you doing? So you only get so many of those plays before it doesn't matter how fast you can run or what highlight reel you have. We can't trust you. So, and maybe that was more in Arizona. I don't know.
I haven't seen a lot of film on him when he played for Arizona or Atlanta. Obviously, he didn't really play last year, but I think it's an upgrade. If he can stay healthy, I think it's an upgrade.
Yep, it'll be good. I'm excited.
Yeah. Who's from this list, and maybe we can even go back to last week's list. I just mentioned, who makes the 53-man roster. Who are the most likely cut candidates? Who's not going to make that 53-man roster of the picks that the Vikings have made so far? Picks in free agency, that is, pickups. We'll call them.
I'm gonna take the low-hanging fruit.
I know what you're gonna say.
Maybe Bubba Bolden will turn out to be really good, but he's just the name that nobody's heard of in Minnesota. I'm sure, unless he had a good college career.
I don't know where he went to school. I heard your episode. I listened to it last week, and I heard you talking about him. I was like, I don't even know who that is.
Yeah, I mean, he's probably the one. I think they'll probably bring in another punter to compete with Ryan Wright, although his 2024 season was much better than his 23 season, so he's not an automatic going to get cut, but he's going to get some competition in camp. Other than that, I feel like everyone else the Vikings signed to at least be a starter to either be a starter or have a solid supporting role. I'm thinking Isaiah Rodgers, he might be a slot guy. I guess people have been saying he's more of an outside corner. Either way, he'll have probably not a starting role, but a large role in the defense. What about you? Do you think there's any names I haven't already cherry picked?
Nope, I'm with you. I think Bubba Bolden, safety, he's in my mind right now most likely to not make the roster. We even put LOL next to that.
Well, I think that's copy pasted from Dustin Baker saying LOL.
Yes. But I agree with him too. No, I think, and I mentioned it a minute ago, I think Kwesi's really been killing it this free agency season, and I don't expect many of these guys to be off the 53-man roster.
Yeah, I think at this point, everyone they've signed, barring injury or some crazy, huge out-of-nowhere performance by a rookie, that overtakes somebody's job, I think everybody they've signed so far is going to stick. Forrest, you're a Bears fan.
Yes.
You're a friend of Vikings fans, and we're friendly with you.
I am.
As of right now, ranked 1 to 4, how do you rank the NFC North teams?
Oh, on paper? Oh, man.
If you had to, and we can't hold you to this because it's March, but if you had to guess who finishes where at the end of the 25-26 season.
Yeah, that's tough. I would go... Yeah, I'm gonna be saying this until I see otherwise. I think the Packers are a team to beat.
All right, well, that was the last time Forrest was ever going to be on the Skol
say it. Then I say Vikings, and then, man, Detroit, and then I as a Bears fan, I still think we're the fourth team just because we haven't proven that we can hold our own yet. So that would be going off the cusp.
All right. I can't tell you you're wrong.
Based on what last year showed, and then the moves that teams have made this year, that's where I'm standing. So,
Evan, same question.
I think the Vikings and the Lions flip-flop from where they were last year.
Ooh.
I think the Vikings win the division. I think this is the year. I think the free agency additions we've already talked about, the consistency with the coaching staff.
Remember, Ev, you're being recorded.
Yeah, it's a bold take. You said you're not holding us to it right now.
Sure.
So
he really is.
You're not holding Forrest to it, but I'm on the show every week, so I guess I have
it's
the
also
higher
your
bar.
show, so
It is my show. It's our show.
Yeah.
No, I will stand by this until I have a reason to believe otherwise. I think everything is trending in that direction. I think the Lions will still be good, but I don't know that they're going to take a step backwards. But here's where I will mix it up again. I think the Packers and the Lions, or not the Packers and the Lions, the Packers and the Bears also flip-flop. I think the Bears...
You think the Packers are the worst?
Yeah.
Wow.
I think the Bears end up
crazy.
Third, and I think it's close. I think... like I said, I think the Packers and the Bears flip-flop, meaning the Bears are there.
Yeah.
I
think they're there.
Could be a playoff contender.
I guess I'm going off of history with the Packers. Until you can beat them and deny them the playoffs, I think they're going to be a team to keep your eye on. But it could be a really close division, like we said the last year. It obviously didn't play out completely for the Bears side. It did for you guys, but I think it's a highly competitive division. So.
I have no doubt that it will be a very competitive division again this year. I don't see the Packers being great. I don't know that Jordan Love.
I mean, I would love that. I would love.
Yeah. I don't think Jordan Love is the generational quarterback that Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers were, and I think he knows that. I think Matt LaFleur knows that, and I think the glass slipper won't fit at the end of the night for that situation.
Yeah.
So.
I think specifically the Packers, you could argue some of their best quarterback play was, who is it, Malik Willis. When he came in, he looked pretty darn good.
He held his own for sure.
And you're not going to outright bench Jordan Love. Not that I thought he ever played to the level that you need to just bench him regardless of who his backup was. But you're not going to bench Jordan Love with that kind of contract unless he's playing to the level that Kirk Cousins was playing last year, which is awful. I guess so I've asked both of you. It's only fair if I answer.
Yeah.
The Vikings are winning the division in 25-26.
Mark it down.
It will be competitive. I think you're dead right there, Forrest. It will be competitive. I do really genuinely believe the Lions are going to feel the loss of their coordinators. Ben Johnson and Aaron Glenn are very good football coaches, very elite minds in their offensive and defensive areas, and the Lions are going to feel it. Jared Goff, he's never been just terrible, but Ben Johnson unlocked something in him, and that happens. I mean, KOC, he unlocks quarterbacks all the time. He unlocked Sam Darnold. I don't think Sam Darnold's ever going to play to the level that he played in 2024. But I think the Lions, even if they bounce back a couple of years from now and they figure it out, because Dan Campbell, he's a leader of men. He can figure things out. He hired the guys once. He can find those coordinators again. But I think they're going to go through a 1 to 2 season slump where they're not going to be elite like they have been.
Yeah.
So I think it's Vikings, and then probably still the Lions, just because they're still on a momentum, but it will be Vikings, Lions, and then Bears. But that Lions and Bears are going to be closer. And then I agree with you, the Packers.
Wow.
But I think all of this
I'm anxious to see this play out because I thought the Packers are the team to beat, and you're both picking them to finish last.
Well, you're saying, division winner. I'm saying the NFC North is going to prove to be the best division in football again. And a fourth, ranked fourth in the NFC North, Packers, is still going to be better than some other division winners.
Yeah, and I think a lot of us, obviously you guys are coming off a huge, season. Bears obviously not so much last year.
They started off really hot, though.
Yeah, they did. So it's funny how our perspectives, I'm probably a little more cautious to release the Bears anywhere above fourth place yet. I mean, I'm rooting for them, but I'm optimistically pessimistic.
That's fine.
I think we as Vikings fans would say we just don't want to see the Lions or the Packers be successful, which is why we're so quickly to notch them down and consequently, lift the Bears up. Like, okay, you guys can.
No, I love this. That was actually a great question.
I've also fully recognized I am a diehard Vikings homer. So for me to say they're going to win the division, yes, I know what that sounds like. I know how I look when I do that. But I truly believe it. And if it's not out already, once the actual betting lines are out, I will be putting a small chunk of change because I never bet a substantial amount of money. A big bet for me is $20. That's a huge bet for me. I might put $20 on the Vikings to win the division. So that's all I'm saying.
While you guys,
you got to risk it for the biscuit.
While you guys finish up this, because we've got another beer that we're gonna try.
Oh, do we ever?
I will say I agree with you very strongly. Actually, that I think that second, third place will be Bears, Lions, and I think it will be really close. I think it'll be maybe as close as it was this year between the Vikings and the Lions. A question I had while you guys were talking there a second ago was: is it possible for all of the members of a division to make the playoffs?
Well,
they would have to take all the wild card spots.
They would take all the wild card spots.
There are 3 wild card spots.
Yep.
So
is that possible feasibly?
Yeah. So what? 3, 4, 5 years ago, I think it was a handful of years ago, forever it was always just 2 wild card spots.
Yep.
So the 4 division winners and then 2
now
wild
they have
cards.
the 7.
So then, however many years ago, not terribly long ago, they added that 3rd wild card spot. So I think mathematically it is possible.
Probability probably really low.
Yeah.
Just based on your playing your division twice, each team twice.
And I think with that being said,
you'd have to split base.
Everybody would have to split their matchups. It would just have to be, everybody would be 1-1
and then
against
dominate
the division.
Their other teams.
And on top of that, not only would every team in the NFC North have to be really good and the math have to work out perfectly, you'd have to have 1, maybe even 2 divisions where the division winner has like 8 or 9 wins.
And we've seen that. We've seen
the
divisions.
NFC South this year. Like I remember saying on this show, it doesn't seem like anybody wanted to win the NFC South. It was the Falcons and the Saints, and they would both win a game, and then they would both lose a game.
Yeah, I remember several seasons where you're looking at the leader and they're barely pushing 500, and you're like, wow.
But I feel like just numbers wise, if you have one division where the division winner has 8 or 9 wins, technically that means the other 3 teams have lost a lot of games.
Absolutely.
Even the division winner, and by that measure, all the other teams in the conference have gained a few more wins, meaning there's more competition for that 3rd wild card spot. So I think mathematically it would be really tough, but technically possible, probably.
Yeah. Like
that, and I think given how things played out in the NFC North this last season, if it were to ever happen, I think it would happen this season, because I think all 4 NFC North teams are pretty stacked. I think
could be,
even though we've all except for Forrest crapped on the Packers.
I believe me, as a Bears fan, I hate the Packers, but
we all do.
I can't deny that until you beat them, and obviously they didn't win the division last year, but they still made the playoffs.
Yeah.
they're a consistently good team. Not great team, but consistently good. And it just eats you.
And they've got a good coach that comes from a good coaching tree. Jordan Love isn't a bad quarterback.
No.
He is a good quarterback. I just, like I said a few minutes ago, I don't know that he's the generational guy.
I'm not saying he's not the Brett Favre, Aaron Rodgers, high level, but they just always find a way to win.
Yeah.
So
that kind of leads me to, I think just this week they announced, because every year teams get the opportunity to submit rule changes or modifications to
saw
rules.
this, yeah.
And one that I did see, I think it was the Lions that proposed this. I might be wrong, but
it was the Lions.
Backing me up.
Yep.
It sounds like the Lions proposed a rule change where the playoff seeding wouldn't necessarily only look at division winners, where wild card teams who had a better record could be seeded higher than a division winner. What do you guys think about that?
I like it. I think the best teams should get the best
Best
ranking seeding.
Okay.
Yeah.
I can see the idea behind it, but my gut is I've always thought if you win your division, you should not only make the playoffs but host a playoff game. I can see how it is more fair probably, because the Vikings this year would have, under that rule, technically hosted a playoff game. And they went one and done. They didn't win a game in the playoffs this year anyways, but that would have helped the Vikings this year.
It would have guaranteed a home game for the Vikings.
I think at the end of the day, the best teams throughout the season, why play the full season and get kind of, in a sense, demoted because you played in a tougher division, is my thinking on that. The best teams throughout the whole season should get the most reward out of it. So,
and I can definitely see that mindset and to some extent follow it. I put a lot of weight on winning your division. How often do they say like, "Oh, these division games, they're
I
think that's for me. So that's why it's still, you have the divisions, and you still, whoever wins that division gets obviously a playoff spot. But then it comes down to record of seeding process. So. Because it is a big deal. Obviously, why have divisions if you're not going to reward a team a playoff spot? But yes, it's like any other sport. I think teams that play their heart out through the season and then they get kind of just dissed, because they played in a tougher league or something like that. It just aggravates me to the core.
You are a college football fan too.
Aggravates me to the core. And I'm probably thinking about the college basketball right now, but we'll talk about that later.
Oh yeah, you're on a time limit here.
No, you're good. You're good.
All right, Evan, you've already poured yours.
Yeah, so we'll kind of break from the action here quick to introduce our second beer. The second beer that we've got tonight is from Tellurian Brewing, and they are based out of Charles City, Iowa. And I saw these on the shelf a few weeks ago when I was at the store, and I had never seen this brewery before. So this is a new brewery for us, and we're going to be trying the Big Peel. This is their blood orange wheat ale. And I haven't tasted it yet, but I could smell it, and it smells like a blue moon almost.
Ooh. But
maybe better than a blue moon. So I'm excited to try it.
I'm a sucker for citrus, so I'm super pumped about this one. Also, do you know why they started making beer at this brewery?
No.
It was Tellurian.
That was a dad joke.
I told that one before we recorded.
Your day job.
Evan gave me a pity laugh there, but yeah, I'd be interested to know the story behind that brewery. It's probably a name.
I'm gonna have to look them up. I've never had anything from them, so I'm excited.
Which is surprising because you've tried pretty much everything.
But I don't know how long they've been in the business, so.
Yeah, I'm sure Tellurian is somebody's last name. I might be wrong on that, and especially that IAN.
You're just making
the
stuff
name.
up.
I don't know. There might be something there. So let me finish pouring up my beer that everybody loves listening to.
Skol this up here, and then let's give it a try.
I'm excited over the super expensive laptop. Let's go. Skol.
Hell.
All right.
Mine transferred to yours. Oh, that's good.
Oh man,
I like that a lot.
These two beers, the Born Ready Brown Ale, Born Ready Nut Brown Ale, and this.
They could not be more different.
Yeah, they're so different, so much so that this orange wheat, blood orange wheat, tastes like candy.
Yeah.
I'm sure
There is a lot more sweetness to this.
Yeah.
That blood orange though, that it comes through great.
The blood
and
orange.
You weren't lying. It's very much, it's lighter than a Blue Moon, but it packs the same orange flavor as a Blue Moon.
Agreed. Yeah, and Blue Moon was one of the first beers I ever tried, and it's still one of my favorites. It's still something I just go to if I need something in the fridge. But I think this is better. I like the blood orange. I like more of the reddish orange flavor to it. I really like that. And it's a little more complex than your standard Blue Moon, in my opinion. It's got some layers to it that I'm still trying to kind of unpack as I take a few sips. It's really good. I like it.
Yeah, well done.
Yeah, Tellurian, this is really good. 4.9%, so you could toss back a handful of these. You should still do it responsibly, but you'd be perfectly fine. I guess the can labels it as vegan. Aren't most beers technically vegan? Not trying to undercut this by any means.
I guess the ones that have lactose and everything would not be.
Oh, sure, yeah, okay.
But I would say the majority of beers would be.
Oh, and I almost made a comment about our friend that's going through Big Top Ventures here in a month or so that he could have this beer, but technically not. Because I was going vegan, but I switched that up between gluten-free.
Oh, yeah.
This is not a gluten-free beer.
No, it's literally a blood orange wheat ale.
Wheat ale. This is the last thing you would want.
Don't give this to him. That would be bad.
Well, I think he'd be fine, but other members of his family might not be.
His significant other wife would be...
not
so much.
So hot. But if he wanted to try this, I would recommend it because it's delicious.
And he is actually a fan of the wit beers and the style. So
man,
this would be right up his alley.
There you go.
All right. Well, we've cracked open a new beer, which means I think we should maybe crack open a new topic as well. Just something to finish off with tonight. It's March Madness. The bracket is live.
Love March
Games
Madness.
Started at 11:15 Central Time today.
Yeah.
Let's talk bracket picks. Who do you got? Who's winning it all? Did you make a bracket? Let's start with that.
I play so many different games in this. I love March Madness. I love college basketball, but
did you do the ESPN one?
I did do the ESPN one. Okay. So, but also I do like just a pool player. So you pick like 7 players and whoever scores the most points throughout the tournament. So that's a new little twist. So you're not picking necessarily teams but players, so that's fun. I do a blind auction one, so you're bidding on teams. I do a what they call a suicide pool, so you pick 2 teams in the first round, and if you win you advance on. So I'm all about the madness in March.
Forrest,
nice.
I have to come clean.
Yes.
This actually isn't a podcast. We're not really recording. We want to tell you we love you, and that this is an intervention for all of your March Madness brackets.
We probably should put that before I start going off on. I will preface that most of the stuff I do is like $5 buy-ins, so this is not like big dollar. I'm sure there are those pools.
Oh, sure.
I'm not one to want to put the mortgage on the line.
Does who was it that consistently did the like $1 million was it Warren Buffett? Does he still do that?
He still does.
Yeah. So is it like get a perfect bracket and you could win $1 million?
Something like that.
And nobody's ever won it, right?
No, I mean we'll talk about probability of the division, all 4 teams. This is even a harder probability to make a perfect bracket. I don't know if it's ever been done. I guess if you submitted a million brackets, like you statistically could do it, but
yeah, how many different combinations are there?
I don't know.
Somebody better at math.
I'm sure somewhere on Google you could find that probability and statistic, but
because obviously
I think I've heard it's more likely that you win the Powerball, then you make a perfect bracket.
Evan, it's almost worth Googling how many bracket combinations there are, because it's probably
there's now technically 68 teams. Technically, most places only allow the 64 teams, so you're only betting on those 64. But
9.2 quintillion possible bracket combinations. If every game were a pure 50-50 guess.
Yes.
So if you entered all 9.2 quintillion brackets, spent $5 on each of them, and just to win $1 million.
Just remember, you'll have to have a mega computer to do this because the picks come out. The selection is on Sunday, and then the games start technically on Tuesday, Wednesday for the play-in games, and then Thursday. So I think you'd be up all hours of the night every single day to even get maybe 1 million.
Yeah, you'd have to have a supercomputer. I don't know. There's not enough time. Have either of you ever won any decent money just on March Madness?
I've never put money on it. Oh, I just do it for fun.
I've had one good time, and it was when Loyola Chicago made it to the Final Four, and for some odd reason in this blind auction, I spent a few bucks just to take them, and they made it all, to the Final Four. So I think I made a couple $100. So.
Wow. Okay.
But I spent it all on other years, so it's not like I'm net probably negative. So.
Yeah. Nice.
So who do you have this year? Just pick one of the bracket. Just
Yep.
Who do you got going all the way to the championship round? Who's winning it all?
Everyone's saying Duke. So I try to avoid if everyone picks Duke, you're not going to win anything. So although I think Duke's great and they have a very good probability of it.
I didn't realize mayonnaise was so popular this year.
Yeah.
I'm a Hellman's guy myself, but
I can see that. I'm going to go with the Auburn Tigers.
Okay.
I think they have been number 1 or between number 1 and number 4 all season long. Bruce Pearl, you should know, as an Iowa boy, he used to be assistant coach at Iowa.
I totally knew that.
You did not know that. So he has some roots around here, and he's just a great coach. Obviously, been around a lot of good winning programs. I think they're gonna take it all. So.
What about you, Ev? Who you got?
My official bracket has the University of Houston winning it all.
Good pick.
I think it's kind of a sneaky pick. They're a top seed. They're one of the 4 1 seeds. But I think they're kind of notoriously viewed this year as the least of the top seeds.
I would agree with that.
Or the second to worst top seed. There's a lot of talk around Duke. There's a lot of talk around Florida, Auburn. But Houston, I don't know. There's just something about them. I don't follow college basketball until this time of year anyways. But I think they might have the easiest path to the championship. I think their segment of the bracket is the best. So, yeah, we got Houston going all the way.
Yeah. Well, personally for me, I don't care if I'm called a homer. I know my stuff when it comes to college basketball, and I predict the University of Northern Iowa Panthers are going to win it all.
Who lost in the NIT?
They lost in the opening round of the NIT.
You know what the NIT stands for, right?
Last year, right?
You know what the NIT stands for, right?
Not in the tournament.
No, not important tournament.
No, I'm just kidding. I can get into college basketball if I'm sitting down and watching a random game. If UNI is in the tournament, I might turn it on just because I'm an alum. If Iowa makes it deep into the tournament, I might start turning it on, but that's almost never happened. I mean, we could probably count on one hand how many Sweet 16 appearances the Hawkeyes have in our lifetime, right?
Not many.
Yeah, I have no clue. I do have a fond memory. Forrest, you and we attended.
We did.
2023? 22,
I believe.
2022.
3 years ago, I believe.
Indianapolis, and we saw...
Yes. So let's kind of back the train up a little bit. So our wives generously bought us opening round, both sessions in Indianapolis, and this was before Selection Sunday had happened, so you didn't know what teams were going to be in there. And me being a Michigan fan, Michigan was one of those teams at Indy, playing at Indy. So me and Austin went there. We saw Michigan beat Colorado State.
That was cool.
It was the opening game, I believe.
No, there was one game before it, I believe.
Was there?
Before Michigan.
I thought Tennessee was after.
Tennessee was at. Okay,
Yeah.
never mind. You're right.
Yeah.
Why am I trying to correct you? I just said how I don't know anything about it.
Well, the beer's flowing,
All four,
So
5%ers.
And then the second session, we saw St. Peter's beat Kentucky, a 15 seed versus a 2 seed.
That was the year St. Peter's went super far.
Hardly ever happens. We saw that game. And then I believe the last game was...
It was San Francisco and Murray State.
That's
correct?
right, and that went into OT, I believe. It was a full day.
It was a long day. We were zonked by the end of that.
But 3 of the 4 games... I mean, Tennessee game was fine, but it was a blowout. But 3 of the 4 games we saw...
Yeah.
Amazing.
Well, and it's cool because the fourth game, the not 3 of the 4, the fourth game, since the St. Peter's Kentucky game ended in that crazy upset, it was in the general geographic area that most of the fans that were at any of those games that day were Kentucky fans.
That is so true.
They just knew it was going to be their team. It wasn't terribly far for Kentucky fans to travel.
Being the 2 seed, they got the geographical regional location. So.
And if you remember, too, isn't St. Peter's pretty close to Kentucky?
Yes, it's at northeast,
So there were a lot of people there that were like, I actually went to St. Peter's, or I would be a St. Peter's fan, but I'm much more of a Kentucky fan because that's the team that we root for in our area. And then to have that'd be like, Iowa and, Northern Iowa playing each other. Like, I typically root for the Hawkeyes, but if UNI is playing against them, I don't care that much about basketball. I'm going to root for the Panthers. So I think that was similar to St. Peter's in Kentucky. And since Kentucky lost, they were the first game of that second session.
Yes.
Most of the people that were there bought the tickets for both games because of Kentucky. They all left.
They did.
As I would too if my team, who was predicted.
Yeah.
Weren't they the number 1 overall seed?
They're the 2 seed.
Yeah.
But still, I mean, like you said, they were so projected to win, and of course, regionally, most of the fans there were Kentucky fans. So
the stadium cleared out pretty much, and our seats. You mentioned our wives graciously. They did this thing, but they also didn't spend thousands of dollars on our tickets. So our seats started up. In the nosebleeds.
Great seats still. I mean, you could see the whole court. There wasn't a bad seat in the.
But then it was basically empty, so we scooted down to the 5th row. It was awesome.
Was that at Lucas Oil or
Gamebridge? I think it's named something else now, but it was Gamebridge.
I think it's still
it's where the Pacers play.
Pacers Arena.
Yeah.
Okay, nice. That's super cool.
Yeah. Oh, amazing.
You guys told that story before we started recording. I'm like, oh, that's cool. Nice memory. I didn't realize it was the St. Peter's team.
Yeah.
I'm just now connecting the dots. That's super cool.
Didn't St. Peter's make it to the Elite 8?
I think it was Elite 8. Yeah, I believe they
didn't they make it to the Final Four?
They went pretty deep. That's almost worth looking up too. But I know their coach right after that. He got a
obviously he got a good
international. He got a higher job.
Yeah, he got a good gig. But no, that was an amazing experience.
Yeah, okay.
And I thought I was in heaven just being able to see Michigan play in a NCAA tournament.
Yeah, that was worth the trip.
Well worth it. But that St. Peter's Kentucky game was beyond measure.
Yeah.
Plus, we had some really good food in between the sessions.
Oh, man, I dream about those tachos. I don't remember the exact brewery it was, but it was within walking distance of the field house there. Oh, man. The picture just showed up.
I'll say one more thing, and then I want Evan to talk about his March Madness favorite. But I will say that this weekend happened during St. Patty's weekend, I believe. Mm-hmm. So, obviously, outdoors in Indy, the weather was really good, actually.
Beautiful.
And Obviously, the beer was flowing. We needed to get some food. We landed at the spot and had some of the best tachos. Maybe it was alcohol related. I don't know, but
No,
it
those
was good.
tachos were legendary.
Yeah.
And then I was so full. I'm still full from those tachos 3 years ago. Remember, we got a beer at the Street Fest,
Yes.
and I couldn't put it down. I couldn't finish the beer.
This is not Austin.
I know. You were concerned for me. Are you okay?
I was really concerned.
I can't fit anything else in my body.
I thought I broke him.
But yeah, that was a great trip. I would endorse a Skol hop trip to the NCAA tournament at some point.
Let's do it.
It's just a blast.
Sometimes they have them in Des Moines area or Milwaukee.
Yeah.
Well, if you remember,
Close
we were
enough.
planning on going to
Yes.
Des Moines the next year, and
Yeah,
then
and it
plans
just
fell
didn't
through.
develop,
But yeah, that would have been awesome. So this time next year, we're going to be watching basketball in person. That'd be awesome.
I would enjoy that a lot because I like basketball. I think for me, it's a non-March Madness memory, but it's still college basketball related because it was with you. It was a couple years ago. You had mentioned Loyola Chicago.
Yeah.
I brought you and another buddy
yeah.
up to Cedar Falls. We were still living there at the time, and my wife and I had season tickets to UNI basketball, and we got to watch UNI secure the regular season title over Loyola Chicago.
Cool.
At the McLeod Center in Cedar Falls. That was super fun.
Yeah.
So
We got to, who was it, AJ Green? That was his last year as a Panther.
Yep, AJ Green's final year. He now plays for the Milwaukee Bucks. So that was fun. It was just a really cool atmosphere. Loyola is no longer in the Missouri Valley. They moved on.
Atlantic 10, I believe.
A10, yeah.
And that was their last regular season game in the Missouri Valley.
Yeah.
Because immediately
cool.
after that season, they
They were only in the Valley for, 4
And
or
it
5
was-
years? Yeah.
It was after that season, too, that Murray State was added. Illinois Chicago was added. Belmont, I think, was added. Valparaiso. So
Yeah. I very much enjoy my level of interest in basketball because maybe if the season was 30 games, I could get into it more. But just like hockey, I can't let myself fall in love with those sports fully the way I am with football and the Vikings because it's so much, and I get so into sports and so into the game that if it was 80 games or even baseball is twice as
I
much.
get the baseball thing, but it's I maybe understand you're not watching college basketball right away because football's still happening, but you still have a few months and then March Madness for college basketball. Pick it up after football ends. You'll love it, man. You'll love it.
And I usually watch a couple of games in March Madness. I'm entertained by basketball. I just can't
I mean,
get into
I
that
will
long
put a
of season.
disclaimer. I'm sorry if I offend some of your audience, but I hate the NBA. I
agree.
I can't
100%.
stand it. But college basketball is on its own. I love it. I love how the kids play. It's just fun. It's a fun game to watch.
Yeah, well, as you mentioned the NBA, as much as we spent the 2024 NFL season talking about how rough of a year the refs had, I think the main reason I can't get into the NBA is because it feels like, one, the refs have way too much easy control over every second of every game where they can call an objective, non-objective, I think he touched you penalty, and it can totally ruin a game. And two, NBA players seem to have figured it out. All they have to do is jerk their head back and they get a foul. I can't get behind that. And I know the NFL is not perfect in that area either.
For me,
college,
the NBA, it's no defense, all scoring. That's what people want to see is a ton of points, and it's just not fun. I obviously want to see high scoring, but it's just not fun when every single trip is points on the board. And these guys obviously are very good at their craft. You expect more points than in college ball, but at the same point, you love some defense, and I just don't see it in the NBA. So.
Yeah, and I think in the NBA you have to start making changes to probably the world in which you play. They've made changes to the timing with the shorter shot clock and things like that, and the amount of time players can hold the ball and stuff. But I think you have to make the court bigger, and I think you maybe have to raise the hoop higher, make it more challenging.
I would
for
say
these
I
professionals
totally agree with you, and I think for for me, watching that 3-on-3 league is more exciting than the NBA because it changes the whole dynamic where you only have 3 people.
Opens up.
Yeah, exactly. And that's more exciting to watch from a fan base than the NBA.
It's crazy in the NBA because you've got all of these gigantic 7-footers that just take up so much more room on the court. And college basketball isn't quite there yet. On a standard size basketball court, I just don't feel like the college game is congested yet.
Well, there's so many more teams.
Yeah, what I love about college basketball, and you can relate it to any college really, the NIL has kind of opened up a little bit more this possibility because you used to have all these just stacked big programs, and that's, you still have the programs that are making every single year, but the NIL, if a team wants to throw some money out at it, some people will want to just go to that school, and money talks. I mean, and they deserve some. I mean, the NIL needs some regulation, but money talks, and people will go to that school. So
absolutely.
All right. Well, I'm going to share really quickly just my favorite March Madness moment. I shared like a runner-up, I think, when you were with me, and it wasn't even really March Madness. It was just the end of the regular season for you and I.
It was probably in March, maybe February.
Late February, early March, if anything. Anyways, favorite March Madness memory of all time has to be when you and I upset Kansas to go to the Sweet 16. It's the farthest UNI has ever been in the NCAA tournament. And it actually happened 15 years to the day. Today's March 20th. 15 years ago today that happened. And I was actually, I had just recently transferred to UNI. I was home on spring break, I think, and had only been attending classes at UNI for 2 months or something like that. And to see my school on the big screen playing Kansas, of all teams, and taking them down was phenomenal.
And that's another year. I think Kansas, weren't they one of the top
They were a
overall
1 seed. Yeah, they were a 1 seed. UNI was a 9 seed, which is respectable, especially for a mid-major program like UNI.
Right.
That's a pretty good, that's a favorable seed for a school like UNI to enter the tournament.
Yeah.
But to take down the 1 seed like they did was
amazing,
phenomenal.
And Ali Farouk-Quinesh hitting that three-pointer.
It's kind of an ill-advised 3. I think Coach Jacobson has even said lately, I didn't want him to take that shot, and then he did, and he made it.
Well, he almost had to. You can Google or YouTube that play.
He was so wide open.
He broke out, was open. He kind of looked around for a second,
and then he just chucked it up. Well, and then on the next play down the court, Kansas tried to push it, and they got an offensive foul called on him, which turned the ball right back over to UNI, which basically sealed the game. So, super fun memory. I don't know that we'll ever get to see UNI back in the Sweet 16. That would be so much fun. I would be over the moon, almost as excited as if the Vikings were to make the Super Bowl, but I think the Vikings making the Super Bowl definitely takes precedence over that.
If I could, I would trade 1,000 years straight of UNI basketball and football not scoring a point for one Vikings Super Bowl.
Wow. You sell your soul for that.
Let them demolish the University of Northern Iowa.
Are you
just
basically
outright
saying you just don't want any programs, athletic programs that UNI?
No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying
if you're not winning anything.
No, I would trade all of that for one Viking Super Bowl. There's not much I wouldn't trade for a Viking Super Bowl.
What I'm hearing, Evan, is some of our best March Madness memories are with Austin, yet he has no respect for March Madness.
To be fair, Evans, we weren't watching that game together. We would have. I just think
not the Kansas game, but the Loyola Chicago game. You sat next to me.
That was a really good. That's a fond memory
for a guy that has no, I wouldn't say any care in the world, but really doesn't follow any college basketball. You've seen some really cool stuff.
Forrest. Oh yeah. Our trip to Indianapolis is a cherished memory. I love that we did that. I look back on that with the utmost fondness.
Yeah.
I would trade it in a heartbeat for a Vikings Super Bowl. That little basketball game.
Friendship broken.
I think we would both easily say yes, wipe my memory, say that game never happened for a Vikings
me
Super
and Austin
Bowl.
really made our best friendship pact, and he just said, I'm throwing it down the toilet for a Vikings Super Bowl victory.
We'd still be friends.
I think
we were friends.
I don't know. Honestly, right now,
Don't do it, Ev.
all the odds being equal, I think the Panthers have just as good of odds of making the Final Four as the Vikings do making a Super Bowl at this point. At this point,
The Vikings made the NFL playoffs,
they did.
and the UNI Panthers basketball team didn't even make the real tournament.
I'm saying for next year.
I don't know.
We don't know
That
anything.
tells me everything I need to know about what you think about the Vikings this coming season.
I created this, by the way. This whole thing is my Frankenstein.
You just don't respect your alma mater, is what I'm hearing.
No, it's fine. I absolutely root for the UNI Panthers and everything they do. I would trade every bit of success that school has ever had in sports, in academia, in anything if it meant the Vikings would get a Super Bowl. And that's the easiest decision I would ever have.
Okay.
Tear it all down if the Vikings get a Super Bowl. That's fine. It's a ridiculous predicament. But
one of the easiest decisions I've made today is drink some really good beer.
Two really good beers.
We should quickly recap those and kind of get our way out of this episode. We started with, if you're kind of jumping in at the end here, we started with our beer that we made with friend of the show, Forrest here, Born Ready Nut Brown Ale. We brewed that just about a month ago exactly, and tonight was the night we tried it for the first time.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Super impressed. Excited to share that with some other people. You guys felt the same?
Absolutely.
Oh, I'm super pumped to have
probably
other people
biased.
try it. We're super biased,
We're
but
definitely
it was
biased.
good. I mean, if it was vinegar, we would have spat it out and been like, "Oh, we can't talk about this beer on our show," or we would have faked it somehow.
So-
if it was bad, we would not have.
So
said it
I'd
was
say
good.
last year when you tried the original Skol hop, which we bottled with the tablets and everything in the bottle, we weren't that impressed with it. We played off that it was good, but then when we had it in the keg, it was so much better.
Yeah, we kind of ruined it on some
I'm
level.
gonna say personally for me, coming right out of the keg, and it was in the growler, so obviously not fully like the best of the best, but still very carbonated. That beer hit all cylinders.
Yeah,
So
that was a good beer. It is a good beer. I'm super excited to have it again. The Big Peel from Tellurian. Not
Tellurian.
Not the car from the 80s with the
The DeLorean from Back to the Future.
I said
I have a DeLorean up there.
oh,
somewhere.
nice. But the Big Peel, the blood orange wheat ale, this is really good too.
This is great.
Those two beers, we said it earlier, they're so different that it totally like explodes the differences in the best ways. Two really good beers. I'm glad we had them
Beer
both.
comes in all shapes and sizes and tastes. So.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. Well, wherever you are, wherever you get your podcast, make sure you check us out, give us a like, give us a subscribe. We're on YouTube and Spotify primarily, but of course those places carry our podcast to other places as well. We've also got a website, theskolhop.com. You can check out all of the stuff that we've got to offer. We've got some merch, like my shirt here, that you can check out if you're interested in that. And I think maybe eventually we're going to do a revamp of our website. And
an update.
an update, and I think we should post the beer list. I think that would be a really cool
Oh, yeah.
addition.
That's
I don't
a great
know why,
idea.
I don't
Great
know why
idea.
I've never thought of that until just now, but I think we should put that beer list out there so people can see everything that we've tried. And if you're out there and you've tried Tellurian's The Big Peel, drop us a comment. Let us know what you think, or if you've tried any of the other 80-something beers that we've tried on this podcast, let us know your thoughts on those too.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, yeah. Anything else to add from you guys?
That's all I've got. Forrest, I can't wait to have you on again. We'll probably have you on about draft time because you'll know all
love
the guys.
that. But yeah, I think beer day was successful. Obviously, draft day coming up, so I'd love to come on again.
Yeah.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, and you're welcome anytime. Thanks for coming on. Best episode yet.
Skol.
Skol.
Yeah.
Hey Vikings fans, Evan here from the Skol Hop, and we just wanted to say thank you again so much for listening to the Skol Hop, and we also wanted to take one more opportunity to let you know that this episode of the Skol Hop has been brought to you by Big Top Ventures. If you're considering taking an all-inclusive trip to either Mexico or Jamaica, reach out to our friends at Big Top Ventures at bigtopventuresllc@gmail.com. Once again, that's bigtopventuresllc@gmail.com. You can get the lowest rate possible on several all-inclusive resorts throughout the region. Big Top Ventures. Step right up to your next big adventure. And thanks again for listening to the Skol Hop.